It's difficult to play roles like that, there are some roles I've done that are about like old stories, and I think if you're going to do something about an old story, you have to put a positive spin on it, where the women, you might not be true to the story, but is the story still relevant? Is it relevant to make the show about this anymore? And I spend the whole show, and fighting this character and trying to retain my dignity, and it's really awful to do a show where you just feel like I am backtracking on everything I believe in, and just to perform this role where I'm in love with the man, but the man's in love with someone else, and I'm angry with the woman for that. Why am I angry with the woman? I don't want to be angry with the woman, she's great.
Yeah, she's fab, she hasn't done fucking anything wrong.
And I don't want to add to that misrepresentation. And I think that's just circus, but also performance in general. It's so important how women are represented. And you can't just play a woman, you play a woman with all of the societal connotations, so you can't just be a woman on stage.
I found myself, even as a feminist woman, being in the moment I was like, she's moving like a man. And I was like, fuck, that is so entrenched in me, and been brought up feminist, consider myself a feminist, think that women can be whatever the fuck they want to be, and try and live that as much as possible. And even in the moment I was like, she's moving like a man. In a positive way, I was like, that's fucking incredible, but I was like, no,
why do we have to attain ourselves to them they're the standard?
Yeah, exactly.
We have to,
And you were saying, fragility, being fragile, and for feminist women who want to, or just women who want to just belong, it's suddenly being fragile is a negative thing because it's a female trait.
I was saying the other day that sexy performance doesn't come naturally to me. It feels something that I have to force, and that relates back to a lot of personal stuff, that I don't want to be forced to have to be sexy as a woman. It connects deeper with me in another way. I think from being around a gym coach who was it feels like a constant attack, and a constant attack of your personal space as well, that you go don't touch me, don't come near me. And if I cry, then I've given in to you. I remember my friend saying to me at gym once, she was like, how do you do that? How do you stop yourself from crying? And now I think about that, I'm like, why are we all in that club stopping ourselves from crying? Was everybody doing that? Was it was he tormenting everybody? Or was he just tormenting the oldest, best gymnast that he decided was his favourite? He got really angry when I stopped wanting to hug him after every session, threw a tantrum and got in his car and drove off.
So he expected you to accept his whatever he wanted, basically. He was
just creepy as fuck. I couldn't dance, right? I was told you can't dance, in the floor routines and stuff.
By him?
Just in general, I knew that people were
that's hilarious.
People were you're not good at the floor dancing bit. But it was mainly because it was all this weird thing that they make young girls do. And I was why do we have to do this? Why do we have to shimmy in my routine? One of my coaches gave me that, and I was like, why is an adult
telling a child
asking me to do that? And I did it at the competition, and I was like, and they were like, you have to do it more, and I was like, I don't want to. I don't know why I don't want to, but I don't want to.
And you knew you didn't, even if you didn't know why?
Yeah, but I'd not do it and lose myself artistry marks, even though I'd worked for it. I was just it was such a vicious circle of stuff. I was nothing bad's happened to me. I have great childhood, I love my family, had a bad experience at gym, but it's fine. And nothing happened, nothing physically happened ever. He always teetered on this line of I couldn't, and even it did, I think if I was a kid I wouldn't have known if it was right behaviour anyway. He used to wink at people all the time as well, and I was I found that really weird.
It's really weird.
There's a lot of stuff he did, I don't know. A lot of, he's a coach, he used to spot us for stuff.
Which means they can get away with doing whatever they want. Yeah.
Nat was supporting me for straddle lever to handstand, but just like elephant lift to handstand, which is a skill I'm like, I know I should be able to do this, but like it's a lot of conditioning. So we were doing it at the gym, and I actually like, I've understood the relationship between like, I've loosened my back quite a lot, so now I'm able to tip my hips to the point where my legs lift. So it's kind of like, that's quite nice that I'm like, okay, I can figure my body out. Now it was supporting me, and obviously you have to stand like behind and like lift the hips. And I just like started crying. And like, I felt awful because I was like, oh God, I hate that Nat has to like it's not him obviously. I was just like, oh, I was just trying to stop for a sec because I had this like memory of my coach like standing behind me and me feeling really like, I don't really want him there, but I want to train and I want to get better, but am I being weird? Like, I don't know. So I was in the gym and I was crying. I'm 25, I was at the fucking Marriott, and I was like standing looking at the wall trying not to have a panic attack, and Nat was like, it's okay, we can stop. And I was like, no, I'm going to do 5 more. And he was like, you sure? I was like, yeah, I'm going to do 5 more. He was like, okay. And I was like, oh God.
It's terrible though, because you actually said earlier he never did anything to me. He never did anything. And yet what you're talking about is a feeling of uncomfortableness, probably for the whole period of your training as a child, because what he did was he made a sexual scenario around you in a very grooming way. And you know, okay, fair enough, maybe he didn't do anything as we like to quantify in our society, because if a woman hasn't been raped, then she hasn't got a fucking right to say anything.
Watching anything like that, like I can't watch The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and people like, have you seen the film?
I've read the book, I think.
So there's like a really vicious like rape scene in it, and I watched it with my mum when I was a bit younger, not like too young, but like younger, and had a panic attack and went upstairs, and my mum was like, I didn't know what was happening, but I was like, I can't watch that film. And people are like, oh, but Gabbie, like you'd love it, like she gets her own back, and I'm like, yeah, but you don't get to get your own back.
No, because you're scarred, that's the truth.
You don't get the opportunity to do that. You don't, because, I mean, if I saw him, I don't really know what to say to him. I'd just be like, I don't know. You don't get to like get revenge on like boyfriends who treat you like shit. You just leave and then you're left to deal with it. So the whole like, yeah, but she gets her revenge. I'm like, so? Like, if a guy like catcalls me and harasses me in the street, the first thing I think about is smashing his head through a car window, but I don't get to do that, do I? But in the films you're allowed to, so it annoys me, and like I physically can't watch scenes like that. Maybe I need to go and see someone for physio. Maybe I need to talk about stuff, because I actually hold tension in my body.
Of course you do, the body holds so much emotional trauma.
Yeah.
I think what I find really interesting is, like, you talk about having not admitted it to yourself, and I think as a society, both for men and women, it's this thing of like guilting people into not talking about stuff.
Yeah.
And like, I think that's why I find this interesting and why I was like wanting to talk to people about things, because I think as a society, part of what so fails us is like ignorance and...
But also hierarchical strength.
Yeah.
Biggest always wins, and it's how to get past that.
Thank you so much to Gabbie Cook for taking the time. Hello, for taking the time to get a coffee and have a chat with me. On that note, if there is anybody else that would be interested in talking to me about what I'm trying to do, or just to discuss, you know, have a talk with me like Gabbie has, I would love to hear from you. But apart from that, if you can share this video to keep what we're trying to talk about going, spread it as far as we can, and please add the Threads of Change on social media. We've got Instagram and Facebook and everything. So yeah, share this video, and thank you so much for watching.